You're listening to the Night Demon Network. Go to nightdemon.net/subscriber to unlock more exclusive content.
Hello and welcome to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. I'm your host, Nesbit. In 1947, the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists created the Doomsday Clock. So that was a clock that showed the risk of the apocalypse, with midnight being the end of the world. And in 1984, when the Doomsday Clock was actually at 3 minutes to midnight, Iron Maiden released the song 2 Minutes to Midnight, which was a reference to the closest that the clock has ever been to the end of times. So over the last 70 years, it's moved around, 7, 8, 9 minutes. At one point, 17 minutes to midnight in 1991. Well, it's 2022, and we are at 100 seconds to midnight. This is the last day. So the Doomsday Clock may or not be complete bullshit, depending on how you look at it. It's in no way scientific or a definitive measure of anything. But regardless, with nuclear war and pandemics and supervolcanoes and artificial intelligence or an asteroid impact, any day can be the last day. And that's the topic Night Demon tackled on this new track. So 2.5 minutes of heaviness, thrashiness, and relentless heavy metal.
The Last Day. I would describe this song as the thrashiest, just a simple thrash in your face, get in, get out, Night Demon, fucking rock and roll, jammer, something like that.
I would describe it as balls out, simple, but complicated. Technique-wise, we're playing pretty fast. The parts are pretty well thought out. It just kind of drives, and then it goes into the breakdown. I mean, it's a really simple song. It's really cut and dry. But I would describe it as just balls out, thrashy, maybe Vysteria Part 2.
So super heavy, super thrashy. We all know that Night Demon has a brand new studio album about to be released, but to tide you over until the release of that album, they've released this track, The Last Day, as part of an exclusive, for now, exclusive release with Decibel Magazine.
The Decibel Magazine Flexi Series is something that I think has been going on for about a decade. And basically, it's kind of an incentive for people to buy the print magazine. So basically, it's the print mag comes with this Flexi vinyl 7-inch. And for, those who don't know what a Flexi is, I remember these things actually when I was a kid, when, vinyl and cassette was in. Before CDs, sometimes you'd get a book. I remember, I think I had like a Star Wars book or something, and the Flexi vinyl was, there was like some narration or a song or something like that in the back of the book, so you can play it on a record player.
The two warriors lit their lightsabers. A furious battle began. The air hummed and sparks flew as lightsabers swung and clashed.
But basically, a Flexi vinyl is something it's basically made out of a square sheet of plastic that has a, like a 7-inch vinyl on it with the actual grooves etched out like a 7-inch vinyl record. And, the sound quality has never been known to be too high on these. However, the company Holy Mountain that makes these Flexis, they're actually not bad. I've listened to some and they're actually pretty cool. I don't know how many uses you can get out of them though. But, nevertheless, I think it's a very cool fucking thing that Decibel does for that. Also, what it does is it gets bands to do new tracks. A lot of the times, these are exclusive tracks to the magazine, and gives bands some ideas to write a quick song or to do something new and different for the fans. It's obviously great exposure for the bands for being exposed to just the general readers of the magazine.
The Flexi series is something that Decibel Magazine puts out, where they get a song from a lot of great bands over the years. I mean, you're talking, the list is just insane of bands that have put Flexis out. So it's definitely an honor to be a part of that series. And, it's about time.
In the case with The Last Day, we were approached by Albert Mudrian, the editor and owner of Decibel Magazine. They've been a big supporter of us since we started. And really, right now, besides Revolver Magazine, they're the last metal magazine standing in the U.S. that has major circulation and is on newsstands and a huge subscribership. And I don't know. I don't even really count Revolver in that, because I think that they don't even do monthly issues anymore. I think it's bi-monthly. And they just cover a lot of the big bands. And there's not really a lot of consistency or cohesiveness in their magazine. And they're owned by a major company, whereas Decibel is still very much an independent magazine. So those guys are flying the flag high for print media and for metal. And, you can't go wrong with that. And I really respect everything that they're doing. And, it's the longevity is there, and they are really the last true indie mag still in the game, but they're doing it on such a high level. But yeah, in regards to The Last Day with this, we were approached by Albert to do a Flexi track. And we've mentioned before that Night Demon never does any quote unquote throwaway songs. And we already did all of these singles in 2020. But when we were writing for the upcoming studio album, our third full length, this had come up, and we had, kind of decided we didn't want to put any of the songs off of our new record on this. So we had some riffs that kind of didn't make it on the record, and some stuff that we were messing around with. So near the tail end of writing the music for the new record, we wrote this song, The Last Day.
We recorded the song completely here at the captain's quarters. Again, since it was kind of an afterthought, I think we had already recorded the other songs that were going to be part of the new album. And this thing kind of came up because we got the opportunity for the Decibel Flexidisc thing. So that, I think we kind of wrote that, or at least, the riff might have been around before the idea for this Flexi thing had come up, but when it did come up and we knew that we needed an exclusive song, we decided to make this song that, so we kind of went back in and worked on it some more and fleshed it out. And so when we recorded it a bit differently than we had done the other songs, because, just this whole song, man, it just really... We really didn't spend a lot of time on it recording. We really just came in, fucking laid it down, didn't think about it too much. Dusty used the house drum kit that I have in here, which is an old Ludwig kit, and he used a snare that I have as well. And I think it sounds like, I don't know, I think it's some of the best, it's one of the best drum sounds like we've ever had in this band. Really, really cool. Really happy about it. It's kind of a shame that it's only going to be on that flexi disc, which are notoriously not very good sounding. But I'm sure that there will be, I don't know, a digital version or something that you'll be able to get somewhere else. And, eventually we might release it on something, as a compilation. So you'll get to really get the real feel and sound of that.
As far as exclusiveness, Decibel Magazine has agreed. We made agreement with them that this would be a 6-month exclusive track for them. So after 6 months, we could do whatever we want with it. I think it will end up as a bonus track on the CD version of the upcoming album. Even though it has nothing to do with it, it's a cool added bonus for those people who buy the CD version of it. To be asked to be a part of the Flexi series is something really cool. And we decided to, since it is for Decibel Magazine that covers a lot of not just heavy metal, but a lot of more extreme stuff, that we kind of picked one of the harder songs that we were writing to include for this Flexi series.
Beast of the pit shall arise. This will spell our demise.
Obviously there's a lot of Metallica influence in that song as well. I don't know I guess it would be our thrashiest song. I consider Vysteria to be our original thrash attempt. This one would be Vysteria Part 2. We kind of took that formula a little bit, made this a song that was just going to be like, bang, here it is. This is just coming straight out of the gates, just guns a-blazing, get it done.
The best way for me to describe this song is, I'm asked if it's our thrashiest song, quote unquote thrashiest. I think it'd be a tie between this and Vysteria, honestly. And with Vysteria, our intention was to write the one thrash song to end them all, and I thought we accomplished that. So coming back to a song like this was not something that we intended, but Armand just had such a good riff. I mean, we were just feeling it, and it was a good song to get the point across.
This song came about when we were working on basically the second half of what became the new record that'll be coming out next year. Like we might have talked about before, we had a batch of songs that we had written in 2020 over the pandemic. We had been working on some stuff that was going to be basically the new album. We had talked about taking the songs that we used for the singles and making those the A side, and then making this other batch of songs that we had written kind of as like one piece of music to be the B side. So afterwards, when we decided to scratch that idea and release the singles all together on their own LP, we realized, well, okay, yeah, we can do that, but we got to write, another batch of songs to go along with this piece that we had already had, and to make it another full, to make it a full-length record. So we, by this time, Dusty had already moved back to Pennsylvania. He was living over there. Jarvis was spending a lot of time in Ireland, but we got together and we decided that we were going to take the month of October in 2021 and write these 4 or 5 songs that we needed for this to finish up this record. And this was one of those things.
When we were writing the new album, we were kicking ideas around. What do we want to do? Where do we go? How do we continue? Because the first half of the record was already written. We were working on the second half of the record. I had flown out for I was out there for 6 or 7 weeks. And we had to write the second half of the album. So, when we're kicking ideas around about what we want to do, Armand came up with that that thrash riff, and we were like, let's write a thrashy song.
So regarding the origins of the song, back in October of 2021, Dusty flew back to Ventura. We hadn't seen each other as a full band in a whole year, and we had half of the new album written, and so we kind of set a month aside to get together, reconnect with each other, and write the second half of the record. At the end of those sessions, we had a riff that Armand had that we kind of were messing around with, but really never formulated into a song. The third studio album that we're doing is a full concept record based on a story, and this song just didn't really fit into the vibe of where the story was going, and we kind of had all the material from start to finish that really summed it all up. I remember that song was kind of left on the table at that point. I remember when Dusty left, I was still at home for a little bit, and in November of 2021, I was just, messing around on the guitar and playing some riffs, and I kind of wrote this kind of, I was just inspired to write this kind of punky riff. It's kind of like a punk riff, but also meets maybe a early Metallica style kind of Kill 'Em All kind of thing. But that in my head immediately combined with some of the riffs that Armand had for this other song that we didn't use. And I kind of thought, well, this might be good. Originally, the riff I had went in a bit of a different direction, and it was actually written in a different key. We've been experimenting a lot with different keys since the Darkness Remains record. A lot of Night Demon stuff, as well as a lot of heavy metal stuff, is kind of written in the keys of E and A. For us, it would be E flat and A flat. But the reason for that is you have all of those open chords and those open low notes, which you can write a lot of great metal riffs on. Once you change the key, if you don't change the tuning of the guitar, you have to play it in different positions, and it's a bit more of a challenge. But on the upcoming album, we have definitely experimented with a lot of different keys, and I was kind of trying to continue that tradition. But in the end, the song ended up just being in the key of E flat, which is the lowest note that we could play without down tuning. So much in the style of all Night Demon songs, well, not all of them, but a lot of them, the final product is a far, far, far departure of how the song originates. So looking at these old demos here, and as October 14th of 2021, so we were right in the middle of recording what would be the back half of album number 3. And this demo that we did here was just a quick idea. It starts with an intro riff, a kind of slow but epic riff that, I have been sitting on for a long time. There was a short guitar version that I played, that I demoed. It must have been, 2015? And I was just kind of going through some old riffs, as you do when you're writing a new record. You just kind of go, well, wait, is there some stuff that I already have? Can I revisit some of those bottom shelf songs that we call them, or bottom drawer songs, and just kind of revisit them later and go, okay, I don't remember writing this, but this could be cool. It has a fresher feel in my mind now. And so that's how that kind of started.
The beginning of this song, it had this whole epic intro that Jarvis had written. It was another bass thing that he had. And he still has, because, we ended up scrapping it, and maybe one day we'll turn it into something else. I do really like it. I don't want to lose that thing, but it just didn't we just felt like it was too much for this song. We just wanted to make it simple and quick and just an easy, banger. 3 minutes, get in and out. So that's just basically us flailing through. The only parts we had at this point was that big long intro with the bass, which again I still really, really love, and the thrashy riff going into that, or just like chugging on the E, and then going into that, the main riff of the song. As you could tell, like the verse thing just isn't there at all. We didn't really know what we were doing at the time. Like I said, this is all in jam room, so it's just kind of off the cuff and just trying things out.
We kind of did, a stripped down version of this just for this quick playthrough demo. And then the song kicks in to just this chugging, this fast syncopated open E riff. Then the bass comes in and the double bass drums come in, and that's somewhat recognizable of how the finished song ended up being, at least just that not the intro, but that the intro after the intro. And then it goes into a more open chord kind of thing with a little more melody, which again, this part did not make it into the final draft of the song. But here we go. This could be something that's revisited later and can be used again for another potential song in the future.
I'm pretty sure that riff came about just in the jam room. I was just fucking around with the guitar, and I guess I had kind of thought that it was a good time to maybe write a song like that. Vysteria had kind of touched a little bit on that, the thrashy kind of thing. Something that the band hadn't really done before stylistically, so we just started jamming with it, and it came out pretty cool, I think.
So we kind of started jamming on that main riff. You know, I'm pretty sure he kind of had that gallopy, like that main riff. So, you know, I came up with like the pretty standard thrash beat, whatever would go along with that when you want to kind of keep that feel and vibe going.
You know, so here we're starting to craft the song, and eventually most of this is going to get thrown out, but we're starting to piece it together, and we have what I guess becomes the main riff now.
A lot of different parts that didn't end up in the song, in the final version of the song. Yeah, again, man, there is some cool shit in there. It's funny. I'd almost go back to this later on and steal a couple of these little ideas for something new. But as you can hear, you know, it's just us in the jam room, just trying ideas out. And, you know, it's just another example of the type of evolution that a song can go through.
For some reason, it just didn't translate well. It wasn't really sitting with us as far as like, is this something that fits on the record? We didn't want to force it. So we kind of canned it, or at least put it to the side, you know, and we'll do that from time to time. We'll put riffs away, and a lot of times we'll end up using them somewhere else, maybe in another section of a song or whatever. You know, if we think it has, and I knew that riff was good right when I heard it, and as we were jamming on it, I'm like, that's a really cool riff, you know. So I had a feeling that it would rear its ugly, nasty head at some point.
Hey guys, Nesbitt here. If you would like to support Night Demon and this podcast, the best way to do it is to become a Night Demon subscriber. Not only will you be doing your part to support a true heavy metal band out there really living it, you'll also gain access to a ton of extras. Bonus audio content, a subscriber-only merch store with rare items from the band's archives. You can stream never-before-heard demos and unearth live concerts from the live vaults. Communicate with the other Night Demon diehards on an exclusive subscriber forum, and gain early access to all press releases, album pre-orders, new merchandise, and a ton more. And another thing that I think is pretty cool is Night Demon will be donating 10% of every subscription fee to the Metal Cares Foundation, which is a charitable fund the band started in 2014 to aid those in our metal community. So head over to nightdemon.net/subscriber and join us as we make heavy metal history together as one. And on a side note, I'll personally think you're a grade A badass.
So it looks like we put that one on the back burner for a while. Dusty went home, and then he came back in December for the Decibel Metal and Beer Fest that we had played. And that's when I think we decided, hey, we got to, you know, resurrect that idea, that thrash thing, and let's use it for this magazine, the Flexi single thing. So that's when we really kind of finished the song and got it to where it is now.
So after this point, we pretty much let the song die and just continued on with writing the rest of the third studio album. We were pretty uninspired by what was happening here. There was a lot of good stuff in there, but it just felt a little generic to us at that point, and we weren't feeling it. So we finished the record in October. As I mentioned before, here comes November. I'm at home. I've got the guitar. I'm writing this kind of punked out riff. And as I mentioned before, it was in a different key. But I ended up bringing it to Armand and saying, look, if I change this to E, do you think we could use possibly, the riff that you came up with, that kind of thrashier riff? And, possibly we could just eliminate the intro. So Dusty came back in early December because we were playing, ironically enough, the Decibel Metal and Beer Fest in LA. So, which we did a podcast episode on. So please revisit that if you have not heard it yet. And we said, look, here's our opportunity. Let's do this while we can. Let's get in the studio and let's write this song. So he came back, and I see a demo here from December 8th that said guitar and bass tired demo. So I think we were tired because we were like, look, let's do this. And it's basically, even though we did have some riffs, it was kind of like writing it from the ground up. But this guitar and bass demo faithfully represents the full structure of the song. So we've got the original hard-hitting riff. We ditched the epic intro. We've got the kind of punky riff as the verses in the key of E flat now. We've got a new chorus. We've got a halftime bridge. We go back into the riff, into the guitar solo, and we have a double chorus as an outro. Short and sweet.
So yeah, that's just myself and Jarvis laying down the structure of the song. Probably for Dusty to listen to and try to come up with some parts to. I remember we had a lot of problem getting the intro thing right because it's got a weird count to it, because the drums start on the upbeat, and then for it to when it goes into the main riff, it kind of turns around on the beat and comes back in on the one, instead of the one and. So if you count it out, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I don't even know. I'm not the best at counting this kind of shit. I just know how to play it and how it feels right, and that's what I do. So, but Dusty didn't quite get it. It took him a while to get it, but when he did, it fucking worked out really great.
There's the intro where we all come in together, but I do the drum fill coming into the main riff. So the opening riff is just this chugging fast, I just come out of the gates, but it's weird how I do the fill into the main riff because it comes in off time and then I wrap it around and then bam, then we're in the straight time part of the main riff. Trying to get that fill right was unbelievably hard. I couldn't hear where the transition was happening or how the heck I would do that. So it's really strange how that opening fill comes into play right into that main riff.
With these flexis, the less time you have on there, less running time, the better the thing sounds. So we, and in typical Night Demon fashion, we just like writing shorter songs. And so here it is. You have the full structure here, just guitar and bass, me and Dusty just playing it through one time.
Okay, so yeah, then the final demo, December 15th, that's pretty much the final version. Everything's pretty much there, except for the solos, the lead parts.
When it was time to track it, I listened to it about, I would say 8 to 12 times over and over in my head, just getting the parts ironed out and memorizing what I had to do. And then when it came time to track it again the next day, for me, it was just like, man, just go in there and fucking nail this song, enough of the bullshit and get it done. I had the song down and we came in, bam, right off the bat, almost one-taked the song, almost one-taked it. All that hard work and preparation, well, not even preparation, but all the hard work of just getting the song put together and then the next day being able to come in and just nail it. That's what I'm after. I'm always after that final take and the final version. I don't care what it takes to get to that point. Because it's always a struggle and it's always something that pulls the best out of you. And, it's a song that I think I've always really kind of wanted to write, because I've always played Metallica songs and, Anthrax and, I've kind of messed with some Slayer here and there, but not really. I don't even mess with Lombardo. But, it was a song that... kind of showcases what I can do in that kind of realm a little bit. I'm not like, Carlos from Warbringer thrashy, or Pete from Havoc. Those guys are like thrash masters. I do my best to do what I do best in Night Demon. So this song kind of showcases a little bit what I can do in the Night Demon realm of, thrashiness.
So, this song is all these demos are a really cool example of a real crazy evolution of one song. If you go back to the very first demo, it's completely different, you know. So yeah, it's cool to keep all these, and it's really cool to have a setup now in our rehearsal room that we can record everything. I mean, we basically record everything that we did for the new record. So when the time comes for that, there's going to be a lot of cool shit that we can go back over and listen to.
So that's it for part 1 of The Last Day. Next week, we'll finish up with Jarvis dissecting the lyrics and the meaning of the song. We'll get a breakdown of some of the guitars and the instrumental parts of the song. I always hear from people how they love the isolated instrumentals, so we'll get into those, and we'll hear about the guest vocalists who showed up to provide background vocals on this track. Right now, you can stream the song online or order a copy of the Decibel magazine that contains the single at decibelmagazine.com/flexi series, or just go to nightdemon.net for all the info, how you can get one of these singles. It's all there. Also, in the subscriber section of nightdemon.net, we have all the demos in their full form, so you can hear the complete evolution of the song. Until next time, this is Nesbitt, signing off.
Thanks for listening to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Head over to nightdemon.net, click on the subscriber tab, and sign up to access exclusive weekly bonus content. If you would like to donate to support the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast, you can do so through PayPal at paypal.me/nightdemonmetal. Additionally, if you have not already done so, please subscribe, like, rate, and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
All hail, Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. This is Dusty Squires chiming in to tell you about my brand new signature sticks from the London Drumstick Company. I've dreamt of having my very own drumsticks ever since I was a wee lad, and LDC made that a possibility for me. Founded in 2016 in London, England, the birthplace of heavy metal, the London Drumstick Company has trailblazed a path through the music industry and taken the drummer world by storm. When I met them for the first time, they knew their product was going to withstand the beatings of a Night Demon show. They took the time to work with me on getting everything just right. The balance and weight of my sticks are the same no matter what, and the durability is bar none the best I've ever had. I know my sticks will last through the set night after night. I'm truly honored to work with a company that caters to their players the way LDC does. Their innovation and attention to detail is what separates them from the rest of the stick makers out there. Their custom stick sleeves are unbelievable and really make the entire presentation complete. Wait until you see the design they came up with for me. It blew my mind and was a surprise to say the least. They have all kinds of amazing swag, including hoodies, t-shirts, drummer shorts, drum keys, stick bags, towels, face masks, practice pads, and much, much more. Even if you're not a drummer, you can be a part of Demon history and order my brand new signature sticks direct from their website. How cool is that? And to top it off, the London Drumstick Company are giving an exclusive offer to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. Go to londondrumsticks.co.uk and receive a 15% store-wide discount using promo code DEMONSTICKS. All capital letters, no spaces, Demon Sticks. DEMONSTICKS. I can't thank everyone there enough for the opportunity to be a part of their family and for them trusting me with their amazing products. See you metal maniacs on the road very soon. And yes, the wood chips will be flying.
Greetings, boils and ghouls. This is your comrade, the Crypt Keeper here, reporting dead from the sanctuary of the strange. Tonight's macabre myth is a fright-filled feature, one overflowing with monsters, madness, and magic.
visit our website at monstersmadnessandmagic.com to stay up to date on all the dark dealings within the sanctuary of the strange. Enjoy the show.
Hey Metalheads, I'm Mark and I host the Metal Forge. Let me tell you about the show. The Metal Forge features the best underground metal from all over the world. We spend every week with a different artist with interviews, in-depth conversations, and most of all, the music. We also feature audience interactivity where you can submit your questions to the upcoming guests. New episodes are out every Friday at noon Eastern Time at metalforgeradio.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all-ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
Okay, metalheads, you've been complaining that there has not been a channel that plays all of the heavy metal videos from past, present, and future for years and years at this point. Well, that time is over. Heavy Metal Television is back. HeavyMetalTelevision.net is the website. Go there. You can see videos playing 24/7, 365, all the time, all the best from the old school, the new school, and everything in between. Check it out, HeavyMetalTelevision.net. It is where the metal is.